Poochie 1009. Okay, d4. Let's see if I can get an Emzo here. No, not an Emzo. Okay, I guess I'll just go back to a queen's pawn defense here. Well, this is interesting. So I can play the knight here, but then he can take it. Give me a pawn. So I will just push the pawn forward and unpin with my bishop. I will kick that. I see. If I take with the queen. That's a cute little trick. If I take with the queen, he can take here with check, so I have to take with the pawn. But he gave up the bishop pair, and his knight has to go back. So he'll be suffering in terms of development, and I'll be suffering in terms of where to put my king. Looks like I can build up a big center here, so I think I will just develop. I'm wondering the right squares for the pieces. I guess the bishop can stay on that diagonal and just develop to d7, castle queenside, push the pawns in the center. And it looks like he will go for a quick expansion on the king side there, queen side. So I will defer my decision about castling for just a bit. You know, it can be safe to castle on the king side in these structures. It depends on what white does. And I do have a lead in development here, which I hope to maintain. And he's missing his dark squared bishop, so I have pretty good control of the dark squares. I didn't mean to give up a pawn, though. That was a mistake. Yeah, I really just thought he was going to take on e5 there, but of course I just hung the d-pawn, so got to pay attention. But it's just a pawn. Well, it is a center pawn too, but that defends the knight. Okay. Now the bishop has a good square on d, or e6 there, but well, his other knight can hop into g5 there to harass it. But if I go to e6, I'll first be threatening to take that knight, so he'll probably play c4 to defend it, or maybe bishop out to defend it. Yeah, he puts the bishop out in advance. Okay, so knight to h, or a5. Knight a5 hits the bishop, which is loose. You can defend the bishop or just drop it back. And then what is the knight doing there? Okay, let's bring the bring my bishop out. My dark squared bishop. It's helping me to control the g5 square there. And let's go ahead and castle queenside here. Get the rook and the queen lined up. Okay. That is true. He can take the queen if I take his knight. He's full of little tricks, isn't he? It's got to win a pawn over here, I guess. I guess that's the point, because I have to take back, and then this pawn is hanging. So I guess I should have played bishop to e6 first. Well, or I could take the bishop. We'd have opposite colored bishops, but I would defend the pawn. So if I was white, I would just grab the pawn. But he takes the bishop. Okay. I mean, this helps me bring my my rooks to the center. Let's go ahead and do this now, in fact. Push that bishop back. And this pawn storm on the queen side is not that scary. I want to keep the material on here. Since the queens are off, I'm not so worried about the pawn storm against my king here. I'll have to provide some cover. Well, we trade off a pair of rooks, and then the king is ready to come into the game, or ready for the endgame. So let's get a rook out here. Have to be a little bit careful about lining the rooks up like that, don't I? Bishop there would skewer them, but well, immediately I'm threatening to take on c2, and I'm also preparing knight to c4, perhaps. Ah, I didn't defend the e-pawn again. I'm dropping pawns here and there. Not a good sign. Okay, so where is the knight going from there? Back again, I guess, huh? Okay, that hits the rook. He will play here, I guess. Rook b1 makes a lot of sense. Okay, he wants to go there, round up this pawn. Yeah, let's trade. I hit the bishop there. Yeah, so he attacks that pawn again. I can take this one. And he takes that one. Okay, so where do we stand? It's 4 pawns to 5. Got this square for my knight. And I'm hitting his a-pawn. He has a check on the back rank. But it doesn't look fatal. Maybe he should go after my bishop. Or he could take the b-pawn. But I will take his a-pawn. I guess I will stay a pawn down. Okay, so let's get the knight out of trouble, maybe here. Knight to d2 threats a fork of the two rooks. Knight to d2 still threatens a fork of the two rooks, although he can check. So play knight d2. Goes here, check. I take. The rook comes in with check. I step aside. And his king is in trouble, right? And the bishop is, yeah, let's try this. The bishop will be hanging, or I'll be threatening to take the bishop and then win the rook. And I'll also be threatening a check on the back rank. Right, there's a check here. Threatens mate. There's knight takes bishop, wins the rook. Now he brings the rook back. I take it with the knight. I think he's in trouble here. Yeah, so his best is probably to push a pawn to save his king from getting mated. Let's see. Could he try bishop to... I guess that wouldn't work. Bishop to d1. I play rook to c1, pinning the bishop and threatening to take it and mate once again. And his rook is still hanging. He can take on f2 with check, but dealing with the mate threat is the real problem. I think any way he deals with that, I'll be able to capture some material. Well, let's see if he finds a way out of this. Yeah, it's interesting. This is a problem of White's own making, right? He had won a couple of pawns. I guess at that point he was still one pawn up. It had a better structure. Yeah, he just had to avoid going into this tactical sequence that backfired on him. He resigned. Interesting. Well, I'm going to upload this game. I think, although I didn't play that well, especially in the opening, that was some interesting tactics at the end there. And we will check that out in the postmortem. See you guys later. Bye.